Troubled waters activist Erin Brokovich drawing attention to contaminated property in West Michigan. But tonight, 24-hour News 8's breaking news that the problem stretches far beyond the small town of Fennville.
Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker mapping the scope of the problems all across West Michigan.
Is the dirt bad?
What's that?
Is the dirt bad?
That's a good question.
Because this summer we were going to plant flowers and stuff.
Is the dirt bad? It's the kind of question asked now by neighbors who had no idea their property was contaminated until 24-hour News 8 knocked on their door. Questions about health, property values, vegetable gardens.
We were going to plant one this summer. Now I don't know if we want to. If it's going to affect the food we eat. I don't know, Stephen.
24-hour News 8 obtained thousands of pages of state environmental records. Here's what we found. Chemical leaks spreading from hundreds of locations, like the one that contaminated this Wyoming neighborhood north of the Delphi plant. Nearly 6,700 property owners across the state have been told their land is tainted, usually by leaks from factories next door. Most notices sent out since 2003. Numbers that even the state hasn't put together. Surprisingly, nearly two-thirds we found are in West and Southwest Michigan, far more than those in the Detroit area. And the culprits include some big names. Some of the contaminants make water taste horrible, undrinkable. Worse, some are known to cause cancer.
Well, that fear is always there.
We started our investigation in the Delphi neighborhood. More than 20 years ago, a leak was discovered around a Delphi storage tank. Then in 2003, 16 years after the discovery, Delphi, working with the EPA, drilled monitoring wells. The question, were these chemicals spreading through the groundwater? The carcinogen they found had crossed Burton Street into this quiet blue-collar neighborhood. That year, Delphi sent out its first wave of notices to neighbors. Vinyl chloride, 240 property owners in all. The neighborhood gets city water, good, clean, safe water, so that wasn't a danger. But still, there was the unknown. The Rosemas once had a tomato garden.
Well, we were told that we shouldn't have any garden of any vegetables or fruit that you would eat.
The Rosemas joined another neighbor to push for a lawsuit. Homes, they said, would be hard to sell, and they could go for 30% less. It's the dented can theory. Shoppers usually overlook the dented can of corn.
So your house is a sort of a dented can?
A dented can. Of course, legally, I got to tell the people this house is no good because, the soil on the knees is contaminated.
DeYoung and the rest of his neighbors won a class action settlement, more than $1 million, spread across the neighborhood. Most got a couple $1,000s. But 3 years later, we went door to door in the neighborhood, and what we found was surprising. Many neighbors still in the dark.
Should you have known?
I think so. Because I knew everything else that was wrong with the house, so why didn't they tell me about that?
Kim Kooienga recently moved into the neighborhood. She babysits her young nephews. Hers is one of 23 doors we knocked on. All had sold since the pollution notices went out. The new owners we spoke to were not informed about the pollution, they say, before buying their homes. Some even bought from previous homeowners who had shared in the Delphi settlement. That appears to violate the state's seller disclosure law. The attorneys who sued Delphi found the same.
Which led to some hopping mad people who were buyers, who didn't know when they purchased their property that there was an issue with this house.
Our next step, 24-hour News 8 went to homes listed for sale in the neighborhood, and we obtained sellers' disclosure statements. Not one mentioned contamination. And we found in the case of foreclosed homes, the law doesn't require it. Neighbors like Kim Kooienga and Arlie Saul left unprotected.
I definitely wish that we could have known that there was a ground contamination. That would have been something that I would have loved to have known before moving in.
I think they should have told me it's my right to know as a homeowner, you know.
Ken Kolker reporting. The good news for home buyers that they can go after the seller for not telling them about the known contamination.
The bad news, if you want to sue the company responsible for the pollution, the statute of limitations for that is 3 years, and for most, that ran out several years ago.
That's all the time we have for you.